Morning grind with pork rinds.
Welcome to the show.
And a good morning to you. What's up, North Georgia? It's a Wingin It Wednesday, presented by your friends at the Pub and LJ. $1 wings all day long until midnight tonight. Stop by the Pub and LJ and see what all the conversation is about. Again, wings, all kinds of good nuggets up there at the Pub and LJ. Appreciate you guys being with us right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia. This is the Morning Rant. I'm Dave Garner alongside the refrigerator mover himself, Big John Davis, joining us right here once again on the program as we talk to you here on a rainy Wednesday. It's been a little bit rainy midweek, last night, torrential downpours, you name it. And, you know, John, that's just kind of the way it is in North Georgia. It's rain for 2 weeks solid to where everything gets saturated and absolutely rotted, and then it doesn't rain again for 2 months and we're sitting here in a drought, but that's just the way things work in North Georgia.
That's the way it's going to be down here as well. I tell you what, the last 3 days for about 20 or 30 minute period, I have never seen it rain except where I used to live in Houston when I played for the Oilers. I mean, you would look outside and it was like a driving snow you couldn't see in front of you. And I mean, where's the water going? I know, my basement.
It's going right in your basement. Bless your heart, man.
But no, we've been very fortunate to not have any leaks in the last couple of days. The ground just gets so saturated, the water's got to go somewhere.
It doesn't have anywhere to go. Yeah, no, you're right, man. Hey, I love your backdrop too, by the way, man. You got the old 65 hanging up behind you there, the old John Davis Buffalo Bills jersey in the background, man. I'm liking the backdrop this morning. Looking good with that Georgia Tech pullover.
That's the jersey that's going to be given away with our package of Georgia Tech and Gilmer County jerseys. So I thought I'd hang it up there. I'm doing some renovations in my bedroom / office. I told you yesterday I got some good news. I finally got my podcast equipment in.
Yes.
And I was like a little boy last night opening up a Christmas present. I finally went to bed about 1 o'clock.
Oh, man.
After just making sure everything was there. I don't know how to put it together, but we're. I figure I'm going to get you to help me do that.
I was going to say I may have to take a trip down. Yeah.
I'm glad to have it. Got my iPad. I'm actually filming this morning just to see how that looks, if we want to take it on the road with us and everything. So, it's a lot of fun right now. I've got a couple more things I've got to do. I've got to get my TV put up so I can be up to date on sports, and I'm going to try to get us something behind me that's going to look a little bit nicer for the morning rant.
I've got to work on my home setup, gear as well, and my platform there. In case there's some times where, let's say you do get snowed in, but we still want to do the show, we could still do it conceivably, from home, and sometimes folks voice track other shows and things like that. So, I got to work on that as well. I've already had an interesting morning. I was able to moonlight this morning over on our sister station and co-host a couple hours of the morning show on location. I was at Chick-fil-A in Canton off of Riverstone Parkway, enjoying conversation with Kevin Williams, the owner-operator, several other folks from the Cherokee County Educational Foundation. They're putting on a big 5K road race in August. It's called the Cherokee County 5K, and basically it benefits teachers and gives them school supplies and things so that they're not having to come out of pocket. Because, and I say this is from somebody that has experience with this because I'm married to a teacher. The schools do provide a lot, but when it comes to a lot of school supplies and things, a lot of these teachers are out of their pocket, with it. Yeah. And so, they don't always get the help that they need necessarily. So, they have to go out and if you're a first-year teacher, or you're a younger teacher, you're right out of college, you're within those first couple of years, and you're having to eat several $100s worth of school supplies to provide for your students. I mean, that puts a lot of strain on your budget. And so, again, this is a great event that raises money not just for teachers and ultimately for students in the classroom to provide them with supplies, but also for the Cherokee County Special Olympics as well. They kind of split it up. So it's a great event that's going to take place in August. So we were promoting that this morning. But, John, this was awesome. And I don't know if you're a big Chick-fil-A fan or not. But Kevin, in his 3 locations that he has Hickory Flat and he's got the 2 Canton stores. He actually does, there's chicken minis, which is like the breakfast, things. He does steak minis. And he actually cuts up. He's got some sausage minis as well, and he'll put some sausage and some steak into the chicken minis, into the mini bread, and they were fantastic. Now that's not a menu order; like you'd have to come in and ask specifically for it in one of his Chick-fil-A's, but they can do that for you. But that was fantastic. I learned something new today.
We need to get together.
Yeah.
I need to know the date of the race. No, it's so great that they're raising money for the teachers. Obviously it goes a lot. There's a lot of people raising money. I've got a good friend down here, Jerry Uffner, that works with a organization that does backpacks and stuff like that for kids coming back to school. We have a bus at our Kroger that they're filling up and everything. But even where I live in East Cobb, where everybody thinks we're a little bit more affluent, the teachers still need help because teachers. Look, that's one of the few organizations that I would support throughout my whole career were teachers. I used to always try to do everything for them for free. Whether it be speaking engagements or making appearances and stuff, whenever they ask me to. But you're right. When they walk in that week before, pre-planning, they're sitting there taking inventory of everything that they don't have and who has to pay for it.
Right.
And so this is so great to hear that they're raising the money to help them out. And I know the teachers appreciate it, and I know it goes a long way for them.
Absolutely. I learned something new, too, and this is something I didn't know about Chick-fil-A. Apparently, they had a mascot before the cows. They had a chicken mascot named Doodle. Apparently, and I don't really remember that. There's probably folks out there listening right now that remember Doodle. If you remember Doodle, the original Chick-fil-A mascot, and you've been around that long, text us on our Jasper Coca-Cola text line. I'd be curious because he said he'd walk around in yellow tights and different stuff, and so he's trying. Kevin Williams, the owner operator, is trying to find a Doodle costume to bring to the race there. But again, our Jasper Coca-Cola text line is 866-888-0744. The text line is now open. And we appreciate you guys.
They do have a great marketing person in charge. I mean, you go down and you can't help but just laugh. You have to take a double take because but they do a great job with that. They don't open on Sundays, as we know, which is a great thing. The Chick-fil-A right down our road was owned by a guy named Danny who was good friends with the Cathys,
right,
and at one time was the number one Chick-fil-A producer or whatever. I think that moved down to Auburn. I'd heard Auburn on the university campus was unreal. But did you also know that the Cathys really never intended for people to own more than one Chick-fil-A?
Right, yeah. They wanted that.
And they always kept it, just one person, the rest with a family. But they branched out. Mr. Cathy obviously passed away. And then when that happened, you started seeing a lot of different things happen with Chick-fil-A.
Right, yeah. Dan took over and they just exploded. And, of course, they still hang on to those values, though. I mean, not a whole lot has changed from the original footprint there. And, hey, that's what makes Chick-fil-A Chick-fil-A.
Hey, trust me, they want to open on Sunday. They do.
I'm sure they do.
They're fighting it as much as they can.
They're fighting it for sure. So again, already a busy morning for us right here as we come on the air with the morning rant. Again, some more depressing news coming out of the Atlanta Braves. Again, the headline here this morning as we jump on the air: Bob Horner, legendary Atlanta Brave, dead at the age of 68. He passed away yesterday. This now a string of deaths within the Atlanta Braves organization or the Atlanta family with Ted Turner, Bobby Cox, and now Bob Horner, of all folks, man, iconic number 5. I grew up with him, a lot of childhood memories right there. They say they come in threes, and we've already hit the third Atlanta Braves, figure or icon to pass away and over the last couple of weeks really right here. But yeah, man, just some sad news coming out of the Braves world again yesterday.
Yeah, I remember. I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting here scrolling, and it's like, oh, God, not another one. And it's just like, Bob Horner's a legend in his own. I mean, just the name and the hair. I remember with my buddy Warren, we would go down there where there were 4,000 people in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, and you'd be able to holler out to them. And, sometimes they might throw you a ball, sometimes they might not.
Right.
But I will say this about, and I've got some things we'll go over later if we continue to talk about it. But you talk about someone hitting a home run, Dave. I swear I used to see maybe one or two a year that when they left the stadium, they were still going up.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it was just, you talk about a rocket. I mean, that guy he got every bit of that bat. On that ball, and just to watch it, it was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Number 1 overall pick coming out of the draft out of Arizona State, where he excelled. He's part of the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Went straight to the Braves, which is rare nowadays. You don't see that. I mean, even guys like Andrew Jones spent just a month or two in the minors before making the jump.
Right.
But Bob Horner was one of those old school guys, man, right out of college, right to the big league squad, and made an immediate impact. I believe it was his first game. He hit a homer off of Burt Blyleven, a Hall of Famer pitcher. Wow. It was either his first game or maybe it's just his first home run. But again, Bob Horner, now he did battle a lot of wrist injuries and things like that, to the point that they even kind of joked around, and he even leaned into that into some funny, Braves commercials and promos. I remember like, ow, my wrist, and stuff like that. But obviously Bob Horner, one of the more iconic Braves from the, 80s, and certainly a lot of those bad Braves teams that we saw. But he and Dale Murphy together, were quite the duo there. And Horner and Murph obviously gave Braves fans something to at least have a little glimmer of hope of during that time.
And it's just a lot of great memories. And he was the first Brave, I think you said. I think there might have been some others now, but I believe I heard this morning he's the first Brave to hit 4 home runs in a game.
Yep.
And on top of that, he was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
So, a lot of first for him is so unfortunate. 68 years old.
Yeah.
So,
it just,
I hate it for him. I think he just got inducted in 2022, I believe, to the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame.
Yep. Down in Macon,
saw some tributes on X for that. So, sad news. Like you said, it comes in threes, and we just hope that it's over with for a while.
There you go. Again, our Jasper Coca-Cola text line open, 866-888-0744. We do have a text here again. Mitzi from Chatsworth, she chimed in and said, hey, thanks so much for the shout out for the teachers. Our daughter has taught for over 20 years, and we know firsthand the expenses. Totally worth it for the kids. Again, thank you, Mitzi, for the comment right there. We got you right here on the Morning Rant. Hey, we're up against our first break. Stay with us. When we come back, we are going to talk a little bit Braves baseball. We got a lot of college football news and notes to share with you throughout the show. And again, some news, hockey news, you name it, playoffs, and much more as we keep the conversation going right here on a Wingin It Wednesday, presented by your friends at the pub and LJ $1 wings all day long until midnight tonight. Keep it right here locked on the Morning Rant, home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia, on the SportsPig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
Make your home's air healthier. Green Heating and Cooling can help by installing a Bryant Evolution air purifier just for you. Using Captures and Kills technology, this highly advanced MERV15 filter captures many select airborne pathogens. It also helps improve indoor air quality for both asthma and allergy sufferers by filtering air impurities like dust, pollen, and pet dander. Call to schedule an evaluation. Green Heating and Cooling, your top Bryant authorized dealer, whatever it takes.
We are back here on a Wingin It Wednesday. Again, our friends at the pub and LJ $1 wings all day long. Again, visit them. They got a lot going on. They're open till 2 a.m. on the weekend. So when everyone else rolls up the sidewalks in North Georgia, our friends at the pub are still rocking away. So get on up there. Plenty of time to go check out those wings today, and they are good. Hey, appreciate you guys being back here. Again, the Wednesday edition, midweek edition of the Morning Rant. The fastest 1 hour in all of sports talk radio lives here on the Sports Pig on the app and on online at sportspigradio.com. Also on the dial as well if you're in North Georgia at 98.1, 93.7, 101.1 on the HD2 dial as well. John, you were talking about your podcast setup there, man. I'm excited about some things that you and I've got going on down the road here. And yeah, man, I mean, it's always exciting when you get some new gear. I'm excited to see how your room changes because, you talked about it being like it was just a room. Now it's an office. Man, I guarantee by the time you're done with it, it's going to be a full-fledged radio, like, recording studio, man. I have no doubt about it.
Well, let's remember one thing. It's always going to be a room for my grandbabies.
Okay, all right.
So right over here to the side, I've got a day bed, and I'm looking at a crib.
Okay.
So I'm just giving you the little quarter room highlights now.
So let's not get carried away here. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
So they've allowed me. Hester said I can have 1/4 of the room. So we're going to come here, and I'm just going to kind of lock it up because if Hudson gets in here, there's no telling what'll happen.
Oh,
but
man.
no, I'm excited about what's coming up for us. If I can talk about it a little bit, it kind of puts our backs against the wall, and that's one of the reasons why I like to do it. Of course, Dave, you've got a full 10, 12-hour a day job with the Pulse and the Pig and all the going out to you have to see people and stuff like that. But yeah, we looking. I'm doing a lot of research and see if we can't do a little podcast. I've had a bunch of my Georgia Tech brothers encouraged me to do it, and a little bit different formats and that we want to do, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be something that not only Georgia Tech but a little bit of NFL, and then also one of the things that you and I talked about is that put some North Georgia in there.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Include some of the people that are up there with sports-wise, community leaders and things like that. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a new venture for me, and it's just, it's exciting. And like I said, I'm like a little boy waiting to open up the box just to see what's all in there and putting it together.
There you go. I'm going to have to work on my setup, too. I really do want to have something at home there eventually as well to be able to do some steps. But, you got the flu. You don't want to come in the office and spread it around, right? You're sick. You want to be able to do some things from home if you absolutely have to. So there you go. Hey, the Atlanta Braves back on track last night. They do get the dub. It wasn't without a little bit of late inning drama. Raisel Iglesias gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, and but was able to finally get the final out, and the Braves preserve a 1-run win, 7-6 last night at Fenway to open the 3-game set against the Red Sox. Hopefully they can keep the momentum going, but they were flirting with 3 in a row after falling in the final 2 games to the Nats the other night here in Atlanta, but the Braves again with the first game of the series in the win column against the Red Sox. And, man, what a night for Michael Harris. I mean, gosh, some of these guys were going nuts. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's always, like you said, it's always great to especially coming off a couple of sour losses, your bats aren't working and everything, and then you go on the road against still a iconic stadium, Boston Red Sox. And it's always nice to get that first win under your belt to the start of a 6-game road trip. But, yeah, Michael Harris played well. Strider pitched well, except for that little hiccup in that first inning. He seemed to pitch pretty well.
Yep.
Unfortunately, again, it wasn't on TV, and I am not buying the streaming services. I'm just not going to do it.
I got excited because it actually popped up on YouTube TV. It actually popped up the Braves Red Sox. I was like, man. We get to watch it, and I click over there, and it said, this game's not available in your market or whatever.
That's exactly when I was watching it right here. I'm like, man, I'm going to get to watch the game tonight. And then all of a sudden that black eye pops up.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, my goodness. Yeah, so, man.
I had to watch hockey instead.
We had to watch hockey, and we'll get to that, too, in a second because that was pretty exciting as well. But, Cunha had an RBI last night. Matt Olson had a home run, a couple of ribbies there. But Michael Harris, 4-hit night, 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a home run as he continues to rake. And it's going to be very important, obviously, with Drake Baldwin out of the lineup for that production to come from somewhere. But to your point, Spencer Strider, 3 hits, 3 earned runs in 5 innings. Not bad there at all. Didier Fuentes came in, pitched a scoreless inning. Dylan Lee, Suarez in relief, just 1 earned combined run there. And then Iglesias, shaky. He's been solid this year, but we kind of saw a glimpse of the old Raisel last night, but he was able to work through it, and the Braves preserved the 1-run win there. Hey, you were talking about hockey, John. Again, I had at the beginning of the playoffs, I said, man, Colorado Avalanche, man, they're just going to be hard to beat, right? And, man, Vegas Golden Knights just roll right through them. I mean, a clean sweep last night in the Western Conference finals of the NHL. They cruise, and now we await the winner of the Eastern Conference matchup between Carolina and Montreal. Canes up 2-1 right now in that series, but just what a dominating performance last night by the Golden Knights, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it last night, and it was clear that the last 2 or 3 nights I've watched, but it's clear that the Vegas team were just the dominant team. I don't know if Colorado was just like, dude, we're in, because at the beginning and during the year how good they looked.
Yeah.
But no, Vegas came in and as like a buzzsaw. And if I was Colorado, I'd have probably stayed the night in Vegas and just kind of drowned my sorrows and before I had to head back to Colorado. And then you look at the Canes, I'm just like thinking, now it's like the Canes of old. I think the last 2 wins have been in overtime, and it seems like they're back at it. But needless to say, I can say now, but I'm probably going to be wrong. It's going to be a pretty good finals, with either or, because Montreal, I think, is a very good team. The Carolinas a very good team. Yes. And then, Vegas has been to the Stanley Cup. I think this is their 3rd time in the last 9 years.
Yeah.
So they're not bad either.
No.
So that makes for good TV. And I can't wait to see the ratings, because you do have your NBA fans, you've got your NHL fans and stuff. Can't wait to see the ratings on that to see what's going to happen.
It seems like they would not want to compete against each other. I mean, the series, the playoffs line up almost to the day. I mean, I remember, and like I said last year, I want to say the NBA Finals and the NHL, the Stanley Cup Finals, they ended a day apart. Like one of them ended on a Sunday night, and the other one ended on Monday. You would think they'd want to get away from each other, but those 2 seasons parallel almost from the beginning of the year in October, November, whenever, all the way through into May and now into June. By the time they wrap up there. Hey, speaking of the NBA, Thunder get the win last night over the Spurs. They go up 3-2 in that series. Of course, the New York Knicks await the winner in the NBA championship. And I didn't realize this. It's been a long time, 27 years, I think, since the Knicks had been to the finals. Their last NBA championship was, I want to say, it's back in 73 or something, right around the time I was born. So I didn't realize it had been that long for the New York Knicks, but I guess that's why you're seeing these fans going crazy the way they are. It's because it's just been such a long time.
Well, and you go back to what you were saying earlier about the NHL and NBA mirroring each other. In New York, it's a big market. So that's going to play a big factor. So that's why I was kind of interested in seeing what's going to happen with not the revenue, but the shares of who's watching what and who's paying attention. So I mean, it looks like, I think at the end of the day, Oklahoma's the better team. So, but it always, you get to that 3-2, and you're going back home. You get to that. Okay, this has all the smell of a 7-game series. Going back to Oklahoma. But they got to go through San Antonio. Who wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But one last thing to the Braves that I always like to talk about, just the little things, and you'll agree. Braves runner in scoring position 2 for 6.
Yep.
Red Sox 1 for 9.
Yeah.
That's a run.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just,
I mean, when you leave 9 guys on base, like that, and you've had plenty of opportunities there. So to your point, man, it usually boils down to that. We talk about that with football a lot. You look at third down, you look at a couple of those kind of stats and say you got to win third down, got to win the turnover battle, obviously. But man, third down's key. You got to convert some defensively. You got to get off the field. And baseball, it's the same way with runners in scoring position. You got to come up with a clutch hit.
And to go back to that, no, you're exactly right. Third down, to me, when I was playing, third down and goal line offense were the hardest offenses to run, because third down, I mean, especially third and short, but if you've got a bigger field, then it helps you out. But when you're on the goal line and it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, that field is shortened. You've got, and Marv Levy was a great offensive goal line coach. I mean, he's the one who handled that, the offensive short yardage and goal line. And but you got the scorers in position. You got to that's when you got to get those guys out there and say, hey, boys, let's don't swing for the fence. Let's get us a single.
Right.
And because every run counts.
Let's manufacture some runs. No doubt about it right here. Hey, our Jasper Coca-Cola text line is open, 866-888-0744. We had a listener chime in with a question we'll answer on the other side of the break because it does pertain to football. And we're going to be very football heavy over the final half hour of the program here today, specifically at the college level. And we'll talk about that here in a moment. Quick shout out, Etowah Eagles do win game 1 of their best of 3 in the 6A GHSA Class Baseball Championship last night, the Class 6A baseball series. They did beat North Paulding, I believe, 3-2. They're playing a doubleheader tonight, I'm pretty sure, at Gwinnett is what we believe. They had to move some things around because of the rain, but again, that series should be decided tonight. So we will find out if we have, either way, we're going to have a local team because, again, North Paulding, our signal, of course, we bleed in to Paulding County, and, of course, Etowah down there in Woodstock. So we'll see what happens here tonight. But, again, Etowah winning game 1 last night. It did not start until about 10 o'clock last night because of the weather. So that's why they were only able to get 1 game in. So they will try to get 2 games in if needed today in Gwinnett, and we'll talk about that more later on as well. Keep it locked right here. Again, visit us on social media. The Sports Pigs on Facebook. The Morning Rant is on Instagram. Also, full video episodes on YouTube. The podcast version of the show is available on our website each and every day, sportspigradio.com, and wherever you listen to your favorite daily podcast on both Spotify, Podbean, you name it, man, all over the place. Apple, Android platforms represented. You can also interact with us on Twitter. I'm at Dave Garner 777. He's at John Davis _65, and this is the Morning Rant. Keep it locked right here. We'll be right back with some football talk and much more straight ahead on this Wingin It Wednesday edition of the program, brought to you by your friends at the pub in Ellijay.
Financial scams are on the rise, and with AI, they're getting more and more sophisticated every day. If someone pressures you to act quickly, ask for secrecy, or request payment through gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency, stop. Legitimate financial professionals don't rush you or demand unusual payment methods. Before you send money or share personal information, slow down and verify. Protect your future. When in doubt, ask questions.
If you're suspicious of a scam, call the team at Foundation Wealth today at 706-278-0214.
Sit down, Lil.
Halfway home in this fastest hour of Sports Talk Radio, right here on the Morning Rant, a Wingin It Wednesday, presented by your friends at the pub in Ellijay. They got $1 wings all day long, so get up to Ellijay and take advantage of that. Dave Garner, the professor, here alongside the refrigerator mover John Davis on a Wednesday, a cloudy, overcast Wednesday. I saw some sun trying to peek out a little bit earlier right there, so hopefully it's sunny wherever you may be, but it does look like we have more rain in the forecast throughout the rest of the week. But we won't let it rain on our parade because we've got plenty of stuff to dive into. Again, our Jasper Coca-Cola text line is open at 866-888-0744. Hey, John, before we dive into college football, because we've got a lot of stuff, we're going to pretty much talk about college athletics for the most part for the rest of our time here today. But we did have a listener text in and say, so the Falcons have either Penix or Tua after paying Cousins $8.7 million to play for the Raiders. Are there any moves we could make at quarterback to not make this season a roller coaster of injuries or underperformance at this position? Sincerely, Troy from Dallas, Georgia. So again, Troy, thank you for the comment right there. Honestly, at this point, I think you're pretty locked in if you're the Falcons. You've got Tua. You said it. You got Tua. You got Penix. You got Trevor Siemian sitting there as well. And then you've got the other kid, and I'm trying to remember his, I'll have to look it up here. Another kid that's kind of a rookie that they're kind of high on as far as maybe a future kind of guy. But I think you're pretty much locked in with the moves you're going to make right now at that position if you're the Atlanta Falcons. I think you're going to just have to roll with what you got.
Yeah, I think when they brought Tua in, they had already made their decision. Yeah. I don't know if it's a one-year deal to try to give Penix a little. I think, because Penix, I think there were bright spots last year, if I remember correctly. The season seems like it was so long ago. Still a young kid. To me, he's a running back or a wide receiver, and that's just personally me.
Right.
But I think Tua's in there. As well as I do, Dave, you got to win. Win at all costs. We win this season, and I think that's why they brought Tua in there. And Penix is he's an emergency guy. I don't, and unless Tua just comes up and just screws everything up.
Right.
I don't see Penix playing that much. They're touting their defense to try to keep them into games and stuff. Look at the running backs they've got. They've got a great running game. They brought another offensive lineman in from the one that retired that boosted up their offensive line. So, to me, it looks like a run offense and a run stop defense, and hopefully there's not too much liability put onto the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Strand, by the way, is the undrafted free agent the Falcons had in 2026. We've seen Easton Stick is a backup a couple of different years, and this, that, and the other. But as far as anything significant, I really don't see anything happening too much right now with our Atlanta Falcons. But certainly appreciate our listener there again, Troy from Dallas, Georgia, chiming in this morning. John, let's talk a little bit about some college news and notes from around the NCAA. It was one of those things you and I were talking a little bit, and Kirby Smart, we mentioned a couple weeks back about the AD at was it Iowa State, I believe,
Iowa State
had mentioned something about hey, let the SEC and the Big Ten break away on their own if they want to and see how it works. Kirby Smart had also said something as far as breaking away from the NCAA if the other teams can't play by the rules presented to them. So there were some different comments that keep coming out of things as we lead up to media days and things like that coming up over the next month or two there. But man, a lot of things going on right now. A lot of talking points with NCAA, particularly with college football.
This is one of my favorite times of the year. Honestly, I keep telling you, let's stop talking about college football. I love media days. I love when they go down to Florida or over to South Carolina or wherever, because these coaches at the right after spring practice, they're all full of themselves. Kirby Smart, sitting there and saying, you know why Kirby Smart's upset? Everybody else can pay their players, and that's the number one thing. And listen, I'm going to tell you this. I've got a couple of good friends that played football over in Athens, and I told them back when Kirby won his first national championship, I said, boys, let me tell you something. If they don't win 4, 5, or 6, I said he's going to be in the hot seat. And I truly feel that way. And look what's happening. He won his 2 and 3 years, rightfully so. Probably should have won another 2. I think we all would agree on, but he didn't. But now the Big Ten stepping up, and then now you've got the Big 12 stepping up. ACC. Look, I'm a realist. I know who the ACC is. I love Georgia Tech. That. You got Miami. Clemson's had a couple of down years. Dabo just completely screwed that whole thing up by not getting in the transfer portal and also getting quarterbacks or making the right decisions. But Kirby, is interesting that he made one comment that he's afraid that all of this budget and the money coming in are going to hurt other sports, and they're going to have to get rid of other sports. And my solution is, to be honest with me, is hey, Kirby, why don't you give about $40 million of that to the other sports? Why don't you help them budget out? If you're so concerned with it. But we know that's not going to happen. And now you got the president of UGA coming out saying that we're close to anarchy. We haven't accomplished anything in a year, and in fact, he thinks that they're in worse position than they were last year. And I just think the arrogance of the SEC knows no bounds. I mean, it amazes me that and now you're starting to see some of the other conferences say, "Hey, dude, go." But here's the deal: you got to take all the sports, and you can't play out of conference.
Right.
You can't play, you want to be your own conference. You want to pat yourself on the back because, you know what? You've got 3 really, really good teams in the SEC, and then you've got about 6 or 7 that are B, and then the rest of them are Fs. Yeah. And I said, you want to hang your hat on that, then go for it. The 24 team, Dave, we talked about it. It's here. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm reading an article about right here why it's not so good for it. Elko out of Texas A&M, and I'm like, the genie's already out of the body. You're going to have it. We're going to get rid of bowl games. Well, listen, we were going to get rid of bowl games anyway. It was just a matter of time.
Exactly.
because
too many
you've got
meaningless games
bowls
anyway. Yeah. You got
5,000
5-win teams, that are showing up in front of, like you said, 5,000 people. I mean, hey.
If you want to, you got 12. Okay, ever how you do it, the top 4, you got 10 games. Give them, the 6 top bowl games, and then like I said, go out and the other bowls go out and raise money, and whoever's the top 10 bowls that raise the most money, that's going to be the bowls for that season. And I'm sorry for the other teams, but as you and I have talked about it before, a lot of those players don't want to play anyway. A lot of them are getting ready for the NFL, and a lot of them just want to go home. You know, and but the arrogance by the SEC is just absolutely amazing. But I'm finally glad to see these other conferences come up and say, dude, do what if you feel good about that, then go for it.
Yeah.
Well, because we know nothing's going to happen until 32, 33 because they already have contracts in place unless they pay a whole – and I would make them pay a whole lot of money to get out of that contract.
Right.
But so you're not going to see anything, and by that time comes around, Kirby Smart might not even be coaching. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It reminds me. I'm sorry. It reminds me of the soccer player, the women's soccer player who is one of the best on the women's Rapinoe, I think her name is, and she's out there playing and competing and all that. Only when she retires that she agrees that men should play women's sports.
Right. Yeah.
And so I kind of correlated with the same thing with Kirby. It's like, we'll be our own conference and stuff, but let's wait till the contract's up and I'm retired before we implement it.
And I see like another like PGA Live thing happening here. The SEC and the Live and the Big Ten breaking away to form the Live, and then you've got everybody else still sitting in the PGA, but then it looks all bright and sunny and all the money's flowing in, $100 million, and then all of a sudden till it ain't. And then it's like, well, maybe now we need to go back, and you're gonna have to pay if you want to get back in. So you see something like that. Now I will say this, and you know this. I mean, I grew up, a Tech fan, but I love Georgia. I love everybody. I mean, I'm an SEC fan, but here's the thing about it. To your point, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You can look head to head, and you can say what you want to about, there's always this SEC versus Big Ten debate. A lot of our friends from up north always argue this, and it's like, y'all are crazy. But honestly, over the last few years, I got to say, to me, have been very down years for the SEC. I mean, look, the Big Ten's won the last, 3 national championships now or what have you. So, again, from top to bottom, I think that argument anymore from the SEC that we're the strongest top to bottom, I'm not sure about that right now. And I say that as somebody that is, that does follow the SEC, that does, cheer for the SEC teams and what have you. And I cheer for the ACC as well, too, obviously. But, I mean, there's just a lot to make of that when you start talking about that. And now it's getting into the financials of it to the point, like you said, where, the SEC and the Big Ten are, they're talking about breaking away. So the other conferences now have kind of called their bluff and said, okay, if that's what you want to do, then go for it. But this is what it's going to mean. So,
And, I'm sitting here joking with you. I call the school over the east of us and stuff and everything. I'm a football fan. And I like to, and I'm one of those guys that stay up until 12 or 1 watching the Pac-10 and the
Colorado.
It just is arrogance aside is what drives me so nuts because if you're a realist and look at it like being a big ACC fan that I am, after 3 or 4 teams, we're not very good. The SEC after 4 or 5 or 6 teams, they're not very good. Big Ten's the same way. So what are these top 5 or 6 teams going to do? Let's duke it out and see what happens. And the Big Ten has, look, Indiana put a great roster together. And Georgia had, without a doubt, a chance to win it, but they flubbed one up at home, and they put themselves in a position. Look, those teams are still going to be in the race for the national championship, but sometimes it's like we always say, the grass isn't always greener, and the Big Ten has started paying money out. The ACC's allotment of money has really gone up as well, so you're going to see as much as, I hate to admit it, you're going to see Florida State, Miami, Clemson back in the fold, and even North Carolina if Belichick can get his act together.
Exactly.
Because
some
North
parity
Carolina is
coming.
a very good football team.
Yeah, and they're a good program, and they've got some money as well, so it'll be interesting to see what happens right there. Hey, speaking of Georgia losing one at home, that was Ole Miss, of course, and SEC, ACC as well. Ole Miss and Clemson also in the news as well. We're going to talk about that after our final break as we transition right here on this Wingin' It Wednesday edition of the Morning Rant right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia, right here on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
When you get hurt from an accident, it can feel like no one is listening to you. The insurance company talks over you. The bills keep coming. It's like the pain and inconvenience doesn't even matter to them. But your story does matter. And here at Geiger Legal, we will make sure your story is heard loud and clear. My name is Casey Geiger, and my firm stands up for people who have been wronged through someone else's negligence. Let us tell your story. Let us get the justice you deserve, and let's start today.
Call Geiger Legal Group at 833-HELP-GLG. That's 833-HELP-GLG, and let us tell your story today.
Sit down.
Back here on a Wingin' It Wednesday with my man Big John Davis. Again, brought to you by the Pub and LJ. $1 wings all day long right here. And again, we appreciate you guys supporting our businesses that support the show. We got a lot of folks coming on board with us here. Dave Garner, John Davis with you till 11 o'clock. Chuck Oliver taking over at the top of the hour with Southern Sports Today, the king of college football. Hey, we've been doing our own version of Chuck Oliver here today, John, talking about some college football. And, one of the things that we mentioned right before the break, apparently Ole Miss is, been investigated right now for tampering with a linebacker from Clemson, which would be a clear violation, obviously. You got to wonder if this was left over from Lane Kiffin, who's now obviously bolted for LSU. But just a little bit of stuff in the news here involving a couple of, speaking of, SEC, ACC, and so forth.
Well, what I was reading last night that I felt, kind of let you know about was because I sometimes like to look as smart as you, but I don't always succeed. The kid in question was a linebacker, and that morning, sometime in January, that morning came up and assured Dabo that he was going to be a Clemson Tiger. Well, all of a sudden, he gets a text in class. And then the kid comes back in the afternoon and says, I need an extra year and $1 million guaranteed. Yeah. And so, they did some research and found out what was going on. But, Dave, the bigger picture is, Dabo doing that, I wonder, to be honest, how much collusion we know there's a lot of picking, from players and stuff, and listen, it's hard for me as a coach to tell an 18 or 19-year-old boy. He says, now listen, this conversation's between you and me, right? Let's just make sure it's just you and me, and then everything's going to work out smooth. Well, that's not going to happen because the 19-year-old's going to go back to his coach and say, hey, I need some more money.
Right.
These kids aren't stupid.
No,
they
not at
know
all.
what's going on.
Yeah.
And so, you just have to look at these coaches who think you really actually think you're going to get away with it.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah. Oh, man. Some more NCAA news. Texas Tech quarterback Sorsby denied another year. He was the one that had the gambling addiction that checked himself into rehab. That went back to the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about sports betting, gambling, and NIL with all these players, of course. And a lot of these kids, they're getting roped into betting. And as we know, gambling is can be an addiction. And so, this guy right here does look like he was going to check into rehab, hoping to get like a redshirt year, essentially, but doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Well, I've known alcoholics and drug addicts, and, I know that it takes, for most of them, it takes more than 30 days to rehabilitate. And the stories that I have read about gambling, and I don't make light of the others, but the stories I've heard about gambling is you talk about getting a grip on you. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, here's 100 for first down. Here's 100. How hard's the wind going to blow? What time is the sun going to go down to get out of the player? There's something you can gamble everything. And that's the stain of the sports today is that they've got these gambling companies. Again, I'm not going to criticize them. I don't agree with it. but they've got these gambling companies that you can literally gamble every play of every game.
Oh, yeah.
And then it goes to the quarter, the half, and then the game. So I wish the kid well. I don't know if he goes, maybe they can meet him in the middle and say, hey, if you go to rehab for a year or 9 months, you have to have some parameters in order for us to consider you coming back. Dave, I don't know if he's good enough to play in the NFL or if he wants to play in the NFL. The kid needs to get rehabilitated first, and then let's see what happens. I do, we all believe in second chances, but 30 days is just not enough.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. So again, it could be a long walk there for Sorsby, but nonetheless, hopefully he can come through this pretty clean on the other side. Time now to talk about some other things in the world of sports and revisit some of our headlines from earlier.
From the buzzer beaters to the big hits. If it's making noise in the world of sports, we've got something to say about it. This is
Now That's What I'm Talking About.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your all-access pass to the hottest takes in the world of sports.
All right, so we were talking about Bob Horner earlier, of course, the legendary Brave who passed away yesterday at the age of 68, and that kind of brought up some different memories for you and I guess this is kind of our memory lane with the refrigerator segment, if you will, right here on a Wednesday. But you and I were talking about some of the other greats like Dale Murphy and Phil Niekro and some folks like that, and definitely conjures up some memories of the Braves of old, right?
I loved watching those teams, and my favorite memories, obviously, and I think we've talked about it, was with my buddy Warren. His dad was take us down. We'd sit behind the third base line. A guy named Robert Westmoreland, who sold insurance, or who still sells insurance in LJ. He would give us the tickets and have a lot of fun. But I was looking back. I found this little website that kind of gives you sports and history. It goes back, the late 1800s, or as far as they can take it back. And 1987, Phil Niekro, if you can believe this, pitched in his 700th game.
Wow.
It's absolutely incredible. I think Don Sutton was one of the other ones. But it's just absolutely amazing. Let's see. And Cy Young. Don Sutton and Cy Young.
Oh, wow.
That, pitched 700 games.
Oh, my goodness.
And then 6 years later, my beloved Dale Murphy, my hero, retires. We were pushing. I remember that year. I think he was with Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. We were
the Phillies,
just pushing like hell for him to get his 400th home run, because that's kind of the parameter for the Hall of Fame,
right?
And
which he's still not in.
Which he's still not in. And I think he won. I know I'm probably going to be wrong, and if my buddy Danny Beavers will correct me, I think he won 2 MVPs, but it might have been 3. But still 2 MVPs.
I think you're right.
In today's world, is I think, and the career that he had. Why he's not in the Hall of Fame, I have no idea.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of folks out there.
You can't change parameters just because, okay, the guy's 2 home runs short. Okay, won 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
Right.
And he played for some bad teams, and I get it, but still.
It's just like Jim Kelly. He goes to 4, they say, well, he lost all 4 Super Bowls. I'm like, yeah, but dude, no other body's taken somebody to 4 straight Super Bowls.
Right, yeah, no.
And so therefore they should get in.
Like,
but
come on.
Hopefully, I know it's the senior committee now, so Dale needs to be in there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And I bought the the throwback that they put out, the City Connect, I guess, for this year. I made it Dale Murphy, man, because I wanted to throw it back and have have an older one there. So I bought the Murph one there. Hopefully we can keep Dale safe, and I'd love to see him get in. You got so many chances, I guess, or so many tries to get in the Hall of Fame.
And then you have to wait a few years, I believe.
And then you got to wait a few more.
You're right.
So hopefully he'll get in there. Hey, in the final minutes of the program right here, we got a few minutes left. Of course, the lead-up show to Chuck Oliver here today. Want to remind folks again, Jasper Coca-Cola text line 866-888-0744. A week from today, we will be live at Bentry Golf Course for the John Davis Classic. The John Davis Golf Classic next Wednesday, our next live show right here on the program. We'll be on the air from 10 to 1 that day. Looking forward to having everyone out. I know you are, John, as well. Looking forward to doing the radio show from your golf tournament this year. Going to be a lot of fun there. So I definitely wanted to mention that to folks. And also, we're talking about something earlier as far as teachers and, providing funds. Of course, the Cherokee County 5K taking place in August. Again, 7 different Chick-fil-A's getting together, a few different operators coming together to make this an event. It started with like 200 runners. And over the 13 years they've done this, they've done it for 13 years now, they're up to about 2,700. Wow. So they've grown it well over 2,000 people since the first one. So it's a big event benefiting teachers, and we definitely want to give a shout-out to our teachers who are, for the most part, they're done with school, they're wrapping up, they're in post-planning this week or what have you. But, again, kudos on another year in the books for our teachers, administrators, and, of course, our kids, our students.
And congratulations to him. And for that race, Danny Beavers, I'm going to be there. That's my birthday. So come on over and we'll hook up. You will run and I will watch.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Danny's I say Danny's like a marathoner, but I think he puts in, he tries to put in 3 to 5 miles a day. But no, the teachers, we all sit as athletes, Dave. You and I've talked about the coaches in our lives and what they've meant to us and stuff. But the teachers, I've had many teachers, and I was privileged to grow up in LJ. It was an honor to grow up where my parents did.
Sure.
Miss Linda Wright, Coach Ken Buffington, Mr. and Miss Becker.
Yeah.
Of course, my mentor, Lex Rainey.
Right.
And so those teachers really, you draw memories from them. And I know as we get older, we talk about it, but you draw memories. You can see yourselves walking down the hallways. The teachers were always nice. Now, they were hard on you, and I wasn't the easiest the student. Mr. Turner, Miss Caldwell. And but you just find yourself. I've got big boxes over here of growing up in LJ, pictures that people have sent me and that have been taken over my high school career. Man, the memories are unbelievable. But kudos to the teachers. I mean, they put so much into it. I know it's hard. No, I'm not a teacher, but I can see what they put into it. We've got about 6 or 7 teachers that live in our neighborhood that I talk to all the time, and it's just the work they do is just selfless. You have to love being a teacher,
right?
And you can tell the ones that are, because they truly make an impact on their kids. Because you know why? I'm 60 years old and I'm talking about them 43 years later.
Yes,
someone that's made an impact.
Yep.
So thank you to the teachers out there. Congratulations on another successful year, and please enjoy your summer.
Yes, absolutely. The shorters get summer and shorter and shorter every year, it seems like, for our teachers. So, yes, definitely begin to enjoy it now as we transition into warmer weather. Now we just need some sunshine, and then we'll be in good shape. Big John, thanks for being with us right here on a Wingin' It Wednesday. Thanks for bringing it as always, partner, and we will see you on Friday during our Friday Happy Hour edition of the program. Thanks, man. Once again.
Great to see you, pal.
There you go. Going to wrap things up for us right here. We're out of time on this Wednesday edition, presented by your friends at the pub in LJ. $1 wings all day long on the Wingin' It Wednesday here on the Morning Rant. We are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. We end every day by saying the same thing. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Again, our show, The Morning Rant, uploaded every day to our website. That's sportspigradio.com. Also, clips on Instagram and full video episodes on YouTube of The Morning Rant. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Our Tailgate Thursday edition coming up tomorrow with my man Will Cooper, our Braves insider, Tomahawk Take, and plenty more straight ahead. Stay with us right here. Thanks for listening.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, where hot takes meet hot mics.